In my last video, I talked a little bit about the mental health of full-time streamers and how even having the goal of being a full-time streamer can affect your mental health in a negative way. But I feel like that is such a small part of what's actually happening right now. Does anyone else feel like Twitch and social media and this entire industry, probably other industries too, just feel out of control right now? It's not new news to any of us that this pandemic is causing a lot of collective trauma on top of the everyday stress of being a streamer and content creator and your job and maintaining your family and your home. But there's also been the Black Lives Matter movement and Me Too, and there's been now a massive mental health conversation within the streaming community. And all of these things together are a lot of stress on top of all of our normal stressors. So much so to the point where a lot of the things that we usually use to de-stress, we don't have access to anymore because we're locked inside. We can't go see our friends and family. We can't go out on vacations. We can't go out to a restaurant. We can't go out and have a drink. And we're like, it's almost like we're a teapot that's just sitting on the stove and the burner is turned completely all the way up and no one is there to pull us off the stove. Because everything that's going on, we're all stressed and anxious and justifiably in a lot of ways angry and scared, and we don't know what the future holds and we don't know when all of this is going to be over. So we're seeing a level of stress that we've never really seen before. So what do? Do we keep being angry? Do we keep expressing this anger to the level that we are? Do we feign positivity just for positivity's sake? What happens whenever someone comes in to pull the teapot off the stove? Are they gonna get burned? What's up everyone, it's Ashni. I've been a stream coach for 2.5 years and I'm seeing a lot of stuff right now that is really concerning to me because I'm not just seeing it in other people, I'm seeing it in myself too. I was gonna make this video for Twitter where I wanted to talk about how I was noticing the increase in negativity on the platform and how I had also fallen into being a bit more negative than usual as well. But then I realized that this isn't just a Twitter problem. The truth is, it's kind of happening everywhere and for everyone. So what I want to do with this video is make an ethical, logical plea with the streaming industry to get back to being nice again. As always, if you have any questions or if you need a little bit of emotional support, you can come hang out with us in Discord at discord.gg/ashnichrist. If you got on Twitter or Twitch 3 years ago, positivity really reigned. There were so many positive streamers and so many people that were just constantly speaking on positivity on social media. So much so that it got to the point where we had to talk about how positivity could become toxic and how it was important for us to acknowledge that there were also negative sides of being a streamer and a content creator and just being a human being living life. And now it's almost like the pendulum has swung in the other direction and now things are just so consistently negative, but we're not really seeing anyone saying, hey, don't forget, positivity is a really important part of being human too. Now, it's normal to be angry and upset and scared at everything that's happening in the world, and there are a lot of injustices that are finally coming to light, and those victims deserve to feel the way that they feel about the wrongs that have been done to them. But we're also forgetting that there is still a lot of good out in the world, and man, John Krasinski just had to sell your show, didn't you? This is on you, man. Let me know if y'all have noticed any increase in negativity down below in the comments, but let's just assume that you say yes here and we agree that there is an increase in just the amount of nastiness that's going around. What is causing this? How is this happening? How did we get here from being such a culture of positivity? I had a meeting with someone a couple of days ago who I consider a mentor, who's also a mental health professional, and we were talking about what was going on in the world and how chaotic everything felt and how it definitely feels like more than 1 out of 5 people right now are dealing with a mental health trauma. And she said something that really struck a chord with me, which was that people want to feel like they belong. Even people who consider themselves loners need some level of face-to-face contact with other humans. And because we're all kind of locked inside right now, we can't go out and get that. We can't be around friends and family. And so essentially, we're all dealing with mass scale loneliness. There's a reason that isolation is considered such a massive mental health red flag. So if you can't go outside to feel connected and to de-stress a little bit, what do? Well, we have to do that, but inside, right? And so we turn to social media because that's the first thing that we think of when we think of connecting with other people. But the problem is we go to social media and a lot of us, instead of using it to share positive messages and connect with other people and congratulate other people or celebrate other people, what we're doing is we're using it to relieve that stress. And so it's becoming this really toxic cloud where a lot of people are just airing their grievances. Which makes sense, like we're dealing with freaking trauma, but at the same time, we're causing more. And so we've kind of lost the realization that other people on social media are human beings because we use it as a way to de-stress, and we have so many traumas that have collected inside of our brains, whether it's recent trauma or even if it's been something that we've been collecting for the last year or 2 years or our entire lives, as with a lot of these movements. And we're trying to get all of that out because we just can't take anymore. And so it's creating this just toxic waste dump. And this means that outrage has become popular. Now it's the thing that gets the engagement, that gets retweets and interaction, and it's blowing up all over the place. So much so to the point where a lot of people feel like in order to stay relevant, they have to be outraged as opposed to having a calmer head and looking at things a little bit more logically. And you know what? It makes sense. Social media is a really great way to give ourselves a hit of dopamine in a time where dopamine is really difficult to come by. And so if we have to be a little bit negative to get that interaction that makes us feel better, then we're gonna do it because we need to feel better. But the problem with this is that we're not actually getting rid of our own trauma. We're just kind of casting it off to somebody else, the people that we're actively calling out. And we're forgetting that those people are human beings who are fallible and have feelings. This can happen so quick. If I look back to a year ago, I used to actively speak out against cancel culture. Yes, holding people accountable is super, super important, but there's a difference between holding someone accountable because you truly want them to improve versus you just want to knock someone down a peg or destroy their career. And even though I was someone who actively spoke out against knocking people down and trying to kill careers, I still found myself caught up in actively participating in outrage. And to be honest, it was empowering. It was awesome to feel like I could finally respect myself enough to stand up for myself and to feel like other people were starting to respect me more too as a result. But respecting people or yourself more because someone tears down other people is super toxic. That means that we are destructive. We're not being productive. I don't know about y'all, but I would much rather build than destroy. So dopamine is hard to come by, but it's needed now more than ever because we're going through such a collective trauma that none of us have experienced before. And the only way to get it, at least for our industry, is going on social media and being really outraged, sometimes justifiably so, but oftentimes not. What are we doing? Obviously, we're creating this just pit of despair that we're putting ourselves in. And as a person that a lot of you look up to, I've even been putting out angrier content than I ever have before. I totally fell into this trap and it sucks. Luckily, streaming and the actual process of streaming seems to be a little bit calmer than everything else, but there's no denying that the Twitch industry as a whole is a lot more just negative right now. So what the heck do we do about this? Should we do anything about this? I said it previously, I'm gonna restate this for a second because I don't want this video to come across as if I am trying to downplay the importance of some major social movements. There are some things that we should be justifiably angry at. Things like rape in the community and racism and sexism, all of those things are so incredibly important, and we definitely need to hold people accountable for things that are literally crimes, regardless of gender, regardless of status. However, the airing of all the dirty laundry right now, it has to stop, because some of us are strong enough to survive it, but not everyone is. I talked a little bit about how difficult it is to be a large streamer in my video. It's easier to be a small streamer, so you can check that out if you click like up here. But I want to reiterate the point that I made in that video, which is that it is a very difficult task to be someone who is put on a pedestal and who has thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of people listening to them. It's definitely difficult to be smaller as well, but it's a whole different experience whenever every single thing that you do and say, whether you apologize or not, the way that you apologize, the freaking sentence structure that you use when you apologize is meant to be critiqued. We are all in a place of trauma right now, and we're also all adding to each other's trauma. We're traumatizing each other. That's not okay. The bullying, the destruction, trying to knock people down a peg or destroy their careers, surely we're not truly bad at our core, right? Right, so yeah, we get that it's really negative right now. What do we actually do about this? I think the biggest thing is we have to stop using the destruction of others to boost our own status. We need to stop trying to make outrage the thing that heals us just because it gives us a hit of dopamine. Self-care is more important now than it really ever has been. It's always been really freaking important, but it is so important now, which means take care of yourself. I think we've been stressed for so many months now that we've hit this new normal of stress that we don't even realize how stressed we are anymore. But once we start doing self-care and kind of working through a lot of that pressure, I think we'll be really surprised to see exactly how buried we are. It's like being in a toxic relationship and not realizing exactly how toxic it was until you got out of it. So here are some things that I'm gonna start committing to doing right now, and I encourage you to start doing as well, to take better care of yourself and hopefully pull yourself out of this mountain of stress that you're under right now. The first thing would be staying active. So it would be irresponsible of us to be going to a gym right now. However, that doesn't mean that we can't still have some level of physical activity in our lives. This might mean you need to buy some skates and actually go outside, maybe a skateboard, or maybe you invest in a little bit of gym equipment so you can just pick up some heavy stuff once a day. If that's too much activity for you, consider just going outside in general. If you have a dog, take them for a walk, or go for a walk with your partner. Just go outside and get some sun. Vitamin D is really important. It's not going to cure your depression, but it might pull you out a little bit. It might charge your phone like 2%. Something I'd like to get back to that I used to do every single day is meditation. I cannot explain to you how amazing it is to finally open up that pathway in your mind where you're able to see your thoughts instead of just experiencing them. It is so toxic to assume that your identity is all of the thoughts that you are experiencing, because we can't control our thoughts. We are going to have negative ones no matter what. It's actually what we do with those thoughts that matter, and the follow-up thoughts that actually define who we are as a person. And meditation helps you clarify the negative thoughts from the positive ones. Sleep is a weird one. Whenever you are stressed, it's very normal for your sleep to be affected. You might be sleeping 2 hours a night, you might be sleeping 20 hours a day. Try to get the normal 8 hours a night, and if you are sleeping too little, take care of yourself. Do some relaxing things before bed. I really like to take a bath. It's a very, very, very great way to wind down. Or if that doesn't work, taking some CBD oil has helped me in the past as well. And if you're sleeping too much, try to set some alarms or have an accountability buddy who's going to help you stay awake so that you are not just sleeping throughout your entire day, because that can be detrimental just as not sleeping enough is. It's really easy to eat garbage freaking food right right now, so let's try to commit to doing a little bit better, eating some greener stuff, and maybe drinking a green juice once a week. Just something that's going to give us the nutrients to improve our thought processes. So hopefully we give ourselves as much power as we possibly can to get ourselves out of this funk. Journaling is also something that I've done in the past, specifically positivity journaling. So I would focus on something positive that happened in my day. The more that you focus on the positives, the more that you're actually going to see more positive. This is another reason that outrage culture is so toxic, because whenever we're focused so much on negativity, it's really easy to see more of it. What you focus on, you will get more of. And so if you want more positive experiences in your life, it's really important that you focus on the positive experiences that you've had or that you've at least thought about having. And so journaling can be a really great way to reframe your brain to focus a little bit more on the positive sides of your life, as well as to help you work through some thought processes that you might not realize you're struggling with. And this is potentially one of the biggest things, which is connect with people more. We might not be able to physically go outside and see each other, and that's really going to be a struggle for the next few months or a year, however long it's going to take for us to get back to normal. But that doesn't mean that we can't still have a connection, and that doesn't mean that we can't be going out with our friends through, why did I almost say Skype? Going out with our friends through video chats or maybe even just text. We need to be having more private conversations with our loved ones, and hopefully private conversations that also include us being on camera with them so we can see them. I don't have all the answers, y'all. I'm not a professional. Honestly, I think we all should be in therapy right now. Unfortunately, I also know that not everybody can afford it. And so if you're in that situation, my heart goes out to you and I love you. Hopefully the things that I talked about here are things that you can start to use to try to reshape your mental processes right now to be a little bit more positive, so that we're not all just buried under this mountain of garbage. Because honestly, I'm ready to take the teapot off the stove, y'all, at least for myself. I can't be responsible for everyone else, but I'm not gonna let myself get burned doing it. So this is gonna help you in your personal life, but if you need more Twitch specific advice, I made this video that has a few ideas that you can use to protect yourself with all the negativity that's going around right now for the future of your brand and your stream. Go and watch that one. I'll see you over there. Bye. Feel better.